In today's lesson, we'll be looking at multiplying fractions. Now, when we multiply fractions, we can use a method called the bow method. And to use the bow method, we take the numerator of one fraction and we circle it with the denominator of the other fraction. So the top and bottom of opposite fractions. Looking at these numbers, so 2 and 4, we see what goes into both of those numbers. In this case, the only number other than 1 that goes into both of these is 2. So we divide both numbers by 2. So you end up with 1 and 2. Because 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. And we do the same thing with the other two numbers. So we circle both of those, and now you can see why it's called the bow method, because it looks like a bow. And we look at both numbers 5 and 6. Now you can see no number other than 1 goes into both of these. So we do not need to divide them by 1. So what we'll have instead, we'll have two new fractions. We'll have 1 from this one here over 5 multiplied by 6 over 2. Multiplying fractions is very nice, it's nice and easy. So all we do, we multiply the top and we multiply the bottom. So 1 times 6 is 6, 5 times 2 is 10. In previous lessons, you will have seen how to simplify fractions, and you will need to simplify these fractions. So the way to do it, have a look what goes into the top number and what also goes into the bottom number. In this case, 2 goes into both of them, so you can divide them both by 2. And I'll leave you with 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 10 divided by 2 gives us 5. And that's our first example. If you look at the second example, we have 3/4 multiplied by 5 over 8. Again, we'll circle opposites, the top and bottom fractions, top and bottom numbers of fractions, sorry. And 3 and 8, no number other than 1 goes into those, so there's nothing we can do there. And this one is 4 and 5, and there's nothing we can do there either. So this is a little bit easier. So all we need to do is times these top numbers and times the bottom numbers. 3 times 5 gives us 15, and 4 times 8 is 32. Now both of these are quite big numbers, so let's see if we can cancel them down. Let's see if we can simplify these fractions. So we looked at 15. What times was 15? Well, we have 1 times 15, and we have 3 times 5. Obviously 1 goes into 32, but that doesn't help us. We don't need to worry about that. 15, that doesn't go into 32. Nor does 3 or nor does 5. So in this example, our answer stays as 15 over 32. Okay, so we've got another two examples here to look at. So we do the same thing again. So we have 15 over 21 multiplied by 9 over 10. Let's circle the top and bottom numbers of them both. So 15 and 10, well, what number goes into those? 5. So you can divide each of them by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. Let's have a look at the other numbers, so 21 and 9. What goes into both of those? Well, in this case, 3 is the biggest number that goes into those. So 21 divided by 3 is 7. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So the fractions we had ended up with are 3 over 7 multiplied by 3 over 2. And again, multiplying fractions, times the tops and you times the bottoms. 3 3s are 9, 7 times 2 is 14, and there is no number that goes into both of these. So 9 over 14 is our answer here. Okay, so let's look at our fourth example. So we have 24 over 25 multiplied by 2 over 3. So if we circle the top and bottom number, so 24 3, but what number goes into both of those? 3 does. So 24 divided by 3 is 8, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. Next, we circle the 25 and 2, and there is no number that goes into 25 that also goes into 2. So our new fractions will be 8 over 25 multiplied by 2 over 1. We multiply the top numbers again, and we multiply the bottom numbers again. 8 times 2 is 16. 25 times 1 is 25. We can check if any number goes into both of these. So into 16, we'd have 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. Obviously 1 goes into 25, that doesn't help us. 16 doesn't, 2 doesn't, 8 or 4 don't either. So that means, again, this is in its simplest form. We don't need to do anything else. Our next examples look a little bit different. They only look like there's one fraction there. However, this 5, we can write this as 5 over 1. So it's the same thing. And now we've done that, we know what to do. So we take the 5 and 12, and we think what goes into both of those. In this case, nothing other than 1. And we do the same thing with the 1 and 7, but nothing goes into those either. So it's a little bit easier, we don't have to cancel anything down just yet. So we just times the tops and times the bottoms. 5 times 7 is 35, and 1 times 12 is 12. And we can check if these cancel down. So we're going to look at 12. What times 1 makes 12? That's 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. 1 goes into both of them, but that doesn't help us. 12 doesn't, 2 doesn't, 6 doesn't, 3 or 4 don't either. So 35 over 12 is our final answer. Okay, so the next example is similar to the one above it. So we have 2/3 multiplied by 12. Now here, there's nothing underneath the 12, or it's not a fraction, so we could call it, or put it over 1. So if we circle the top and bottom again, what goes into 2 that goes into 1? Only 1, so that doesn't help us. And we do the same thing with 12 and 3. What goes into both of those? Well, 3 does. So we can divide both of these by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So our new fractions will look like 2 on this one over 1 multiplied by 4 over 1. Multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. So our answer is 8 over 1. Now, we can't simplify that. However, just like we did here with the 12, we could write it as 12 over 1. We can also do the reverse. So 8 over 1 is the same as 8 by itself. So 2/3 times 12 is equal to